Good morning and welcome back to the Opportunistic Trader for December 12th, the Wednesday expiration day. Markets somehow cooled overnight, and cooled meaning cooled from going up and down crazy numbers. We only have a 30-point range today, less than a 30-point range, 20% range overnight. Usually we have a 50 range overnight. Market is higher. I'm not exactly sure why. I guess maybe relief out of Asia. Japan was up pretty good. China was very slightly higher, and the Hang Seng was higher. Markets are a bit higher in Germany and London, but the DAX again is still down 15% for the year, and we're basically flat on the year. The Chinese markets are down anywhere from 6 or 5 now in the Nikkei to 25 on China, or 23 now, and I don't see a lot moving other than the S&P. Bonds are a bit lower, 10 ticks lower, and I don't really see much. Stocks are higher. Apple's only up $1 after not having a great day yesterday. I think that stock remains under pressure. Facebook quietly is about $12 off the low of the move, and you know, all these others are sort of mid-range, and banks are higher. I guess that's what's taking us up. But Goldman, I think, traded through the low of the year.
Just wanted to jump
yesterday.
in. CPI was released, and it really came in exactly as expected. They were expecting no change, came in at no change. So flat month over month for November CPI. And look, the annual seems to be in line as well. So unchanged there.
It came in 2.2 or 2.5 or something else?
2.2.
Which
and
is
month over month was unchanged.
Right. So it's down from before. So there's more leeway for stocks to go higher, more cover for Powell to back off on his rate hikes.
I guess.
That's just an opinion.
Yeah, I guess. I don't think we're going higher. I'm very convicted. We got stopped out again. I'm having one of my worst months starts. Actually, it's the same month start as last month. We came out of it. Just running out of time here and running out of ideas. We're coming into year end. I think I'm 1-5 or 1-6 for the month. I feel like the Raiders in football, the team that you love, but they never win. So I hope everyone still loves me, but it hasn't. It hasn't been a good start to the month, and overall, we're going to try to chip away. For traders out there, when you get like this, it's not fun, but you want to stay engaged in the tape. You want to stay small, and you want to just try to chip out of it. So that's what we're going to do today. Markets.
And every day you come in with no position, and you're not married to any idea. So you're not a macro hedge fund. You're at least you're not in the front step on a ledge contemplating life itself. It's 1 week out of a month.
I contemplate every day. I just don't do it from a ledge.
And you don't admit it to your therapist. Do you think about suicide? Well, now I do. You mentioned it.
No, that is not in the cards, but definitely contemplating, just trying to figure out how to put a P on the page and looking for places to go. We got stopped out last night, about 8 handles from here. We will put them back on the short side, probably pre-open, but we're going to hopefully get a little bit of a push up. Market looks honestly terrible, but I guess maybe this is the Gunlock effect, because I saw Gunner come out very negative on stocks last night after the close. So that fits the bill. But really, the market is virtually unchanged for the year. I think unchanged on the S&P is about 77 or 75, somewhere in there. I think that's before dividends on the SPY. So the market is really actually up a bit. But overall, we don't think the market's going to make it through the end of the year. We think it's going to get really dicey after the Fed raises rates. And, I don't know. It was funny. The market was trading about 10 lower right out of the gate last night. And then someone called me and they're like, oh, the woman in Canada got bail. And we rallied 25 handles. I mean, come on. You got to come up with a better one than that. But that's the takeaway for the rally today for now. I thought the interesting thing yesterday, which was really, I mean, we should somehow play it, but Trump, Pelosi in the White House going head to head with Schumer, and they're arguing like babies in front of the press about the wall, and it's the same stuff. But this is literally what we're going to get into in January when they flip the House. It's going to be a nothing done, all-out brawl for the next 2 years coming into the election, and the Democrats better, maybe they can make like an AI robot to run against Trump, so they could get someone that could beat him.
I know,
because that's really the job here, is to figure out how you're going to beat him. How you're going to get out there and put out a candidate that's going to convey the message that the people want to hear. But anyway, that's 2 years away. Looking at the tape, everything looks like it's the same place. Wow, I didn't realize that the British pound got down into the 124 handle. That's interesting. But it's up at a figure today. All good.
I mean, that's been an interesting topic. We traded below 124 below 125 last night, and the big topic is we're going to have a confidence vote from Theresa May, which would be very bearish the pound if she was kicked out. But I think we're rallying because it's expected that she will not be. She will have the votes to stay in office, and so we're going to get that vote. I believe in about 4 or 5 hours, but it would be very unexpected if she was not to get the votes. But that's, I think, why we're rallying.
I mean, listen, the pound.
that's true.
Pound.
Other contributors, I think, to the rally make it what you want is that CPI did come in where it is, so probably smart to start looking at the Fed funds futures. Whatever chances there are of rate hikes in 2019 are probably dropping aggressively. Based on that. Also, please keep in mind that, and this is opinion, but there will be, however bizarre it is, but there's going to be nothing that gets in the way, in my opinion, of the G20 U.S.-China trade talk that has commenced. So whether it be a CFO arrested or whether it be a meteorite that crashes into Hong Kong, they're going to figure out a way to get around that. Even if the talks themselves resolve nothing, there's not going to be anything that stops the talks.
They're literally going to resolve nothing. So I could tell you that's a nothing done. They're going to come out with the greatest. Listen, all you got to do is back up. Listen, all you got to do is back up to the G20. And Trump came out of the meeting and literally said that he did the biggest deal ever done. That was a quote from him. The biggest deal ever done, and there was nothing. So. He's going to always say everything's amazing and all of that. And then as soon as he says everything's amazing, 5 minutes later, he says what did he say?
No,
what did he say?
It's all fake. I'm not arguing that.
I'm just saying he's the tariff man. He called himself I'm the tariff man or whatever. I mean, come on. It's clown. It's clown
next headline
central.
That comes out. But when the next time, if you're a day trader though, and the next headline that comes out is that something negative like another CFO is arrested or something like that, and the market drops, it's my feel that if the market drops for reasons like that, obstacles to the next meeting, when nothing will come out of the meeting, as I agree with you, obstacles to the next meeting will be brushed aside, resolved, and ignored. So every stock market drop on these potential obstacles to another conversation will be pushed aside. I just see them as day trading headline events.
Yeah, but there won't be any public. There's not going to be a meeting. They're meeting now. They're meeting behind the scenes now. They don't want it out in the public. But again, I'm going with what I've said before, and I truly believe China is much smarter than you think. They know Trump is now down to a year and 10 months. Okay. All of a sudden, now they got another 2.5 months with nothing, they have to do. So now you're at a year and 7 months. Okay. What's going to happen when you're at a year? Why would they want to do a deal with us within a year of that he's going to be reelected? What's the point? They could wait it out.
Let me answer that.
They've already taken pain.
We're in agreement, and that's the irony of it. China wants to continue talking, and they're not going to let anything get in the way. But nothing will come of it, as you know. Trump will brag about it, but China won't be committing to anything because they're running the clock out. It's very simple. But the fact that I'm just saying that when bad news comes out or the market perceives something as bad news, the CFO, all of a sudden is rearrested, stocks are a buy on that. Not because there's going to be a resolution, but because people think there'll be a resolution. And it's like third derivative removed from the actual problem.
But when you buy it, it feels scary. So on Monday, if you bought it and we tapped through the low of the entire year, other than going back to February, okay, we were in land within 1.5% of the low of the year. The funny thing is, if you look at it, okay, we're 110 handles. We're literally less than 3 to 4% from the low of the year. It's not like we're so far away. I mean, we could be there in a day, 2 days.
No argument.
So I think that's the real, they keep coming out with fake news and fake good news and all of that. We have to see. And, it's funny, I'm equating this to like all the things that we've looked at this year. I really want to talk about it. Like, I remember we were in a burning fire and every newspaper in the country was calling us to find out news on the Turkish lira and what was going on there. There hasn't been that thing didn't even last 3 trading days. Maybe it lasted 3 max, and that was gone. The same thing, like you look at like natural gas. Natural gas blew people to smithereens. It's a no trade. It's literally sat here, between $4 and $4.50 for a month and a half. So they blew everyone out, and they did what they had to do, and now that's not a trade. So it's the same thing. So you'll talk about China this, and it'll be on the table for a day to 3 days max, and then it goes away. They'll talk about this Huawei or however you pronounce it, woman, like the biggest deal. It's a zero. It's a non-event, but they bring it on so the algo kicks in. Today you'll see it. We'll be sitting here and we'll drop from 66 to 52, and you won't know why, and there'll be some headline, and then all of a sudden it goes away. But you are right, Vince, what you're saying. All bad news should be bought, all good news should be sold, and we're unchanged on the year, and the counter trend works. You just have to be small enough in the tape to withstand the move. And if
that's
you
the key.
are
That phrase, I think you should probably expound on that more.
Well, listen, if you're a 10-lot guy, you go to a 2-lot. If you're if you go to a 1-lot guy, you can't really do much. But, if you're doing 100, do a 30-lot. Now you have 3 times the range. Well, the counter trend works really well in this tape. This is not a trend followers tape. It's counter trend. Markets move up or down, but you have to be able to stand the heat of, a huge move. So that being said,
the macro trend may to be short. Maybe I think is to be short for 2 months, but every time there's bad news, it gets swept off the table daily. So the CFO shoots herself, God forbid, and the market drops. I'm a buyer. Is that a counter trend trade?
Well, it's a counter trend trade, but you have to do it in a way. Like, I'll give you an example. Monday was
risk management
Monday.
Side,
well, I'll give you an example of my trade yesterday, and it's really angering me to the last 2 trades. So the first trade out of the gate yesterday had a $15 winner. It was amazing. I was very happy because we've been trading terribly. And then we got long at 40, and we're using too tight a stop. We get stopped out on the low of the day, and then basically we go from the low of the day to the high of the day, and the trade that you lose 15 on is now a $15 winner in 20 minutes. So really, you have to you have to utilize smaller positions and much larger stops so that you could stay. And this market is ultra forgiving. So if you're selling the market up 25 today, most likely it either is going to go red or come in at some point. Now, we could go up 35 or 40 first, but we're going to come in. The market is overbaked on the upside, but the problem is, can you stay in the position long enough to withstand the trade? So that's really the lesson here is to size your positions right, be able to withstand the moves, and be able to scalp and make money. And for me, honestly, it's been tough because the moves now. So if I short them here, I gotta give it $20 a room minimum, maybe 25. But the hardest thing is to come in and make 20, 25. So really, you have to expand your range, reduce your size, and try to scalp in a way that makes sense. But since I walked in this morning, the market's all bid. Volatility is down 3%. It should be down a lot more. I mean, literally, I don't know how volatility is at 20. I really don't, because we're moving around 50 handles, but we go nowhere. We really go nowhere. I bet you that we're close to unchanged on the week, plus or minus 15 handles. It's Wednesday. And we moved yesterday's move.
And we do 65 points a day.
Oh, yesterday we did way more. So yesterday we opened up 30 handles. Okay, after we opened down 15 overnight, we rallied 50 off the low. Then we took out the low, which was 65 lower. You got 115 there, and we rallied 40. So literally yesterday's range, top to bottom and all around, was 160 points. And we haven't even moved 5 points on the year. So it's whipping like crazy. People are getting whipped around. And, it may change. What I see today is a much lower range. Okay, we're talking about a 25 handle or 30 handle.
That's what I was going to
range.
ask you. The straddle actually looks really low, but the straddle's actually been a buy each day the past week or so. Is there something that is there a strategy that you might do where you're maybe buying the straddle and then trading around it when we get to the outer edge of the wings of that? Or
Yeah, I mean, you could. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would say the straddle's gone outside the variance, a bunch of times. I would looking to short the straddle. Whereas the 65 straddle is
it's like 24. It's really low.
We dedicated a good
23.
20 minutes to your straddle assessments in the options class yesterday. I don't know if you had a chance to read that or look at that, but we're hoping that people get a better handle on why the straddle and implicitly why the iron fly is important to a person going into the day, assessing their gut check for risk in trading. So hopefully people benefited from that.
Tracy just posted in the chat that U.S. Republican senator from Kentucky is expecting a government shutdown. I think that we're in the environment. It's December 12th, and there's going to be back and forth, especially based on what Trump said yesterday. He's like, yeah, if we shut, there might be a shutdown. And he at one point said he welcomed it, then he walked that back. Because it definitely seems like it would be on him, because there are a number of Republicans that would be willing to vote for a few different options that would avoid a shutdown. But there's definitely going to be some banter over the next week, back and forth, 10 days about shutdown, won't shut down, things like that.
But let me ask you honestly, the government shut down last year. It's shut down all the time. I mean, every time we get to this, they shut it down for a week, 3 days. Okay, so, and then it reopens. So I don't know what so it shuts down. I mean, what does that mean? I mean, do you have a thought on what does it mean?
What it means is a lot of people don't get paid. A lot of parks aren't open.
I get that underlying, but what does it mean for the market when 3 days later it's going to open?
Well, agreed. Because typically what
forever.
happens is, it's seen as a negative, and people sell off risk, this and that, and then eventually when they reopen, they bid it back up. When all that's really happening is a number of hundreds of thousands of U.S. people are out of a job and aren't getting a paycheck around Christmas for whether it be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, things like that.
And then they give them the back pay and everything. everything's fine. I mean,
Right.
come on, it's just a bantering tool. They're not
Tinfoil
paying
hat
them.
comment. Uh,
Sure.
I said this a couple months ago, and I said it again recently, and I don't think you can prove me wrong. So that makes it one of those things that you can't really argue with. But I think that the government shutdown is Trump's hedge. It's his out for the wall. He really can't get. I don't think he can get the wall done. And it's not an anti-Trump comment. A way to give yourself an out, like he did with Powell, like he does with a lot of people, is to create your hedge. Well, if I can't get the money for the wall, then I have to do a government shutdown to get the wall. Well, I don't want to do a government shutdown, so I have to back down. The point is, the wall is tied to the government shutdown now, if you'll notice. And I thought that would be his out to begin with. So I think when this is over, there will or will not be a government shutdown for a couple of days, and there will be no funding for the wall. And uh, uh, that's going to not lose him votes. It's going to make his followers um, adhere to him even more in a voting way. And at the same time, we don't have the money. I mean, he's got a government freeze on hiring people. I don't know that the U.S. Army civil engineers can get the wall built the way he wants to on the budget he wants. So threaten to shut the government down, and then the whole thing goes away. That's just my tinfoil hat comment.
I think that possibly could be right, but we'll see. We'll see how everything goes. The market is
Unless
now up
unless of
30
course he's
bones,
building
30
walls like
handles on the S&P. Pretty big move up from yesterday's low at it's 50 or higher, but 50 doesn't mean much now. So we could be bid all day today and then take the low out tomorrow. That's how this market rolls. I do think that the Fed is going to raise rates, and I do think it's going to be looked at as a negative, even though, like you said, there's almost 100% chance now that he's not going to raise rates next year. Now, he may, if the stock market holds up and rallies, he will. But as long as the market looks skittish, he's going to stop. We're hitting stops in S&Ps right now at 70 up to 72. The Nasdaq's up $93. It's in a bull. And the SPU is up 31. So people have been blown out of the stadium pre-open this morning, the half hour basically before the opening. It's funny, I don't see the stocks. I mean, Apple ticked up about $1 here into this last wave up.
I think some of it might also be some more Brexit headlines kind of funneling out that May is going to have more than enough votes. Pound is trading back above 126 now, so bit supportive
enough
there.
Votes to stay in.
Stay alive.
Nah, who cares? Honestly, I've never seen anything. It's funny. A country votes for something, and it's literally been 2 years, and they can't get anything done. They can't do it. They're scared. What are they scared of? What did they see? I forgot who said it. All you have to do is fear. The fear is fear itself, or something. Where you're like, you don't have to fear anything but fear itself. I mean, what's going to happen when they leave? I mean, they're not going to drop into the ocean.
Well, it's part of it's like, okay, it's not like, hey, we're just picking up offices and leaving, going next door. I mean, there's so many long-term trade deals that are affected by it, and it's so complicated that it's just dragging on and on and on, and it's just a nightmare.
And my question is, why is she so good? She hasn't gotten anything done. The people don't really like her. What's so good? I don't, maybe they just get rid of her and do a restart, pull the cord and let's roll. So,
in parliamentary democracies like England, it's kind of like a sports team. You fire the coach when the team does bad. And she's not the first one on this. I think, who was before her? Corbyn? Did he start this all going?
No, wasn't it Boris Johnson or something?
Johnson might have been the person. But the point is, like you said, the only thing, they're just scared to do it. And it's pretty weird because you're undermining democracy when you do that. They voted for it, and now they're saying, let's have a do-over. That'll be almost like Gore.
I'm going to be going. I'm going to London, in May, and I can't wait to get there because the last time I was there, the dollar was literally 202. I had like the worst tick ever. So now I'm going there and it's almost in half. So the dollar is not king yet, but the dollar is parity almost with this British pound here. So there's good opportunities. But overall, market, I mean, this is a huge opening. And it started slow and it's just snowballed up, and the S&P is now positive for the year or flat at the minimum, and everybody is bulled up again. Yesterday they were freaking out. It's funny, my CNBC red headline is Gunlock is very negative on stocks. It's like, it's just unbelievable. It's actually unbelievable. So that being said, there's not a lot to say other than that. And, you can't look at it as a day trade. You got to look at it more. But right now, if you're short, they're just up so much you can't even handle. Nobody can handle staying in these positions. So, that's where we are. S&P up 33 and NASDAQ up 100. And I want to just add, the S&P is 6 above cash. So we're really up 40. And again, we have a 400-point opening on stocks. And to be honest with you, this is the same exact opening we had yesterday. The only difference is the market really never does the same thing twice in a row. So most likely today, you can't sell them because they did that trade yesterday and the computer is not programmed that way. So, but 35 up in the S&P plus the premium is over $40 higher. So this is a massive opening. But I don't see stocks up that massively. Everything's up about 1%, on the stock side. Usually you'll see one or two outliers at this point, but the SPU doesn't stop. NASDAQ's up 105 now. The S&P premium is pretty big. The implied opening on the Dow is about 400 points. So just your regular day. I don't know what the really bullish news is, but I don't know. I guess it's that they didn't fire May. That's the bullish news, or is it that they gave bail?
It's that CPI came in as expected, and that.
Yeah, but we were up 20. We were up 20 something before that even printed.
Okay, well, so there's multiple reasons, just adding fuel to the fire. Maybe oil is the better day trading product today, considering the big draw yesterday and the EIAs are due today. You might have some hourly whips as people square positions going into that EIA number.
Yeah, that's up 90 cents. It doesn't really rally much. But overall, bonds have stopped going higher and yields lower. I think we're about 290 on the 10-year in that area, maybe a little bit. Where's the yield on the 10-year? Is it 290? I think it's around 289, 290. So keep an eye on that. It'll probably tick above 3% as the market stabilizes.
290 right now.
290. Yeah. So keep an eye on that. As that ticks higher, market firms. It's just, I mean, it's actually great though. It is great for trading to have 40, 50, 60 handle moves. So right now in the S&P, we've had a $40+ range on the day. I mean, it's all one direction. But now, if we come in and go red on the day, potentially, now you have a 70, 80 handle day. So, we've been having a lot of those whips. I don't know who's buying the opening here, but someone is, and they got to hope it holds up.
Well, if you want the market up and you have more skin in the game than you care to admit, buying it during thinly traded hours is the way to go. Definitely a way to run stops. That's what my algo says. I don't really have an algo. It's actually a Roomba.
But China ETF is up 2.5%, which is not a ton, but it's more than what that market did last night. So I don't know if they do a deal or what's perceived as a deal. I mean, there's got to be 10 to 20% in China, at least on the upside. on a
I
small
agree.
market like
Well,
that.
why don't we just call it this so we can both make sure people know what we talk about by a deal? A headline deal. We don't know if it's a real deal, but there's a headline deal. Yeah, Chinese stocks have 10 to 20% in them. I think so.
Yeah, but I don't know. The whole thing's weird. Like China isn't doing a deal with us or pushing to do a deal with us, but yet they know if they do any deal with us, it's going to send their market skyrocketing. And they're still. I got to give those guys a lot of credit. Like our country is so, people can't handle losing that they would do anything to not lose. These guys have lost 27% or more on the low in their market, and they haven't made a move. They haven't made a move. And they know if they do a deal, whatever that deal is, their market's going to rally 10 to 20+%. And they still haven't done a deal. So that's pretty impressive in my mind.
Well, after the election, whoever the next president is, he'll be accused of being in collusion with China if a deal is done. So it'll go from Russia to China as who's manipulating our
Trump's
elections.
going to have Trump Tower in Russia, China, all the countries. Saudi Arabia, they're giving them like a whole block and a half for free. They're like, listen, prime real estate, you got it. Anything you want. Just don't bother MBS. Don't bother the prince. The prince's son. Don't bother him.
There's a Wall Street Journal article that just came out about 15 minutes ago that I just put in the chat, and it's talking about China and opening up to basically appease the rest of the world, especially the U.S. And so it's talking about their former Made in China 2025 campaign. They're saying China's top planning agencies and senior policy advisors are drafting the replacement for the Made in China 2025. President Xi's blueprint to make the country a leader in high-tech industries, from robotics to information to clean energy cars. The revised plan would play down China's bid to dominate manufacturing and be more open to participation by foreign countries. So, this is the initial.
Wait, so they're going to let our garbage participate with their good stuff? They're like, listen, come on, they know.
But that's their version of Mike. That's their version of a Trump thing. They'll make a statement,
Exactly.
and their statement is, we're going to revise our plan. We are going to look into revising what might be a plan that we haven't really executed anyway. And that's their what do you want to call it? That's their give back.
It's the rhetoric. I think you're 100% right. It's more the rhetoric. Okay, guys, we're actually not going to call it China Made in China 2025. We're going to say that we're more open to the global markets. But
we love Donald Trump 2025, and then after the election, this is exactly how governments work. They're actually getting pretty good at putting a velvet glove on the iron fist over there, whereas we're getting less good at it.
That said, when that came out at 8:45, it looks like that's when the S&P ticked up from about 63 up to 77. So, initial headlines, it's, something for the administration and something for everybody, at least verbally at the moment.
I'm not buying
it. Should be bearish for the dollar. It's bullish for stocks, and I don't know what it does to bonds.
They just ran some stops up there. That's all. They ran some stops. The market came in. I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't know what kind of deal they're looking. What are they looking for? That's what the real question. Like, what are we looking for? Once Trump's the kind of guy, once he gets his deal, he's going to want a new deal or more of a deal, and he's going to say it's unfair, and But let me ask you this: what we talk about how this stuff rolls off and no one pays attention, but what's with North Korea? Where are they? I watched like a 60 Minutes thing, and they said they're building more nuclear power and nuclear plants and nuclear this, and we don't even have a dialogue going with them. He just it's crazy. So it's just another it's another pawn in his game. So we'll see how the day pans out. Potentially that could be a high for today. But again, the problem with today is it's hard to do twice, what the market does with these algos. So I'm not, I'm hopeful of a sell-off, but I'm not in a position, and I'm not banking on it. But overall, again, we're like 1 for 5 for the month or something like that. And it's not good, and I don't see for me a light at the end of the tunnel. I need a couple of really good trades here to to feel good and get back. So that's I'm owning up to it, and unfortunately that's where we stand right now. We have a bearish bias. We do think the market's going to trade lower, but we want to be careful now in picking our spots, and we're going to try to be nimble and put some P's on the page and get right.
We have a great schedule today, a lot of great information. We have the DOE crude oil inventory report at 10:30, and Andy LeBeau is going to join us to break that down just after. Then at 11 o'clock, we have a guest on the Opportunistic Trader, Mark Yusko of Morgan Creek Capital. He has been very vocal on CNBC and a lot of different places talking about the global markets, U.S. opportunities, emerging market opportunities. And you might have heard recently they're talking about a crypto challenge where they're looking to bet about $1 million over the next 10 years. A crypto outperforms S&P. So we'll be talking with him about all the opportunities there.
Good luck on that.
We'll be talking with him about all those sort of topics. Then at 12 o'clock, we have Dave Floyd sharing his screen showing technical analysis across all the markets. Then 1 o'clock, Option School, another class from Tom McEntee and Vince Lancy. It's really been great information on those classes at 1 o'clock. If you aren't getting those live, you can check them out in the replay tab, or you can also view them on the main website in the video section.
Mike, if I can interject,
absolutely.
What I hope to talk about today. Yesterday, we had a long class starting with the basics and ending with some esoteric stuff. Today is going to be more advanced, discussing model risk, skew, fat tails and flat tails, and things to look at when you're arbitraging volatility within a product. Different types of models, basically, and how they represent markets. So that would be, I think, interesting for more advanced types that are looking at different types of models, and how to handicap things like skew and leptokurtosis, which is fat tails. Like, for example, the stock market is a put skew with fat tails on the call side. We'll get into all that with Tom at 1 o'clock, hopefully.
Absolutely. And for everybody I just mentioned, Andy LeBeau, Mark Yusko, Dave Floyd, Tom, Vince, if you have any questions anytime, put them in the chat room and we will get to them. A lot of great information today, and we're going to have an active market. S&P right now is up 30, NASDAQ's up 93, VIX is trading 2078. Fixed income post CPI, and also I think just post the general broader risk positive news. Yields are trading a touch higher.
What's Yusko's $1 million bet that the S&P will or will not outperform?
He thinks crypto. Well, we'll ask him the specifics, but he has a crypto.
But broadly,
he has a crypto basket, which actually is made up of like 89% Bitcoin, and then a small percent of the other coins.
So he's created an index basket,
and he's saying that over the next 10 years, crypto will outperform the S&P. And we'll find out more information about it. But he's looking for somebody to take that bet.
I would do that bet, and that bet would be nullified. If
but you have to look at the components of his basket, and you have to make sure that his basket or index
irrelevant.
Cannot be changed.
Of course, but it's irrelevant. What he could pick anything he wants. He could pick any of these things.
Well, one thing he's also saying, if you think about it, Bitcoin right now is at 3,500. If it went to 5,000 today, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. It's Bitcoin. Like, who knows?
I think it's going to zero.
But I'm just saying, if it goes to 5,000, that's 50%ish gain.
That's a good point.
Whereas S&P,
right? Well, listen, he's betting on an index. I think he wanted to make this bet at 6,500.
He's not talking about total capitalization. He's just talking about percent return.
Yeah,
and there's a lot
capitalization
more
there, of course.
Well, over the next 8 years, Bitcoin can go down, and then all of a sudden it can pop in the 9th and 10th year percentage-wise.
The entire market cap of Bitcoin, all coins, is $110 billion. It's basically
it's a company.
It's third the size of Facebook. Not even the whole product. I mean, it's an actual joke.
If it's $1 million bet, you bet five. You just spend $5.
Well, what I'm saying to you is, it's Citibank is Citibank is double the size of every Bitcoin combined.
Well, he's been,
Okay.
openly
come
also
on.
challenging Nouriel Rubini on Twitter often to take the other side of the bet, because Nouriel Rubini has been very bearish crypto for months and months and months now.
No, but what I'm saying to you is he's betting, you're betting a multi-trillions and trillions of dollars of market cap versus 100 billion. That's what you're betting. It's not even a bet. To move 1%
you're right. It's
on
almost
a trillion.
like the equivalent of like saying one stock versus the
Right,
S&P.
exactly.
Right.
It's not even one stock. It's a seventh the size of Amazon. The whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the dumbest. It's actually a dumb bet. It doesn't even make sense. It's like
So here's a
like you
fair
said,
bet
you're betting
based on what
you're
you're
betting a
saying, Ryan.
micro
Here's a
cap
fair bet.
stock versus a gorilla. You can't move the gorilla's trillions of dollars. It's a lot easier to move a stock 1% that's $1 million than it is to move $1 trillion. So really, he's
It has been successful in getting buzz. A lot of people are talking about it, so maybe that was part of the idea as well.
Yeah, I think so. But literally, okay. So I'll tell him what I'm going to pick one stock. He can have Bitcoin, and I'll pick Apple. Okay, for the next 10 years, he can have all of Bitcoin.
You might take that. That's interesting.
He would never take that. He would lose. And if I go lower down and take a lower I would go market cap to market cap with him. I would say,
so maybe dig up a name by 11 o'clock.
Right.
Look for a study.
Well, I don't want to get on.
Come up with the name.
I don't want to get on and be like, listen, the bet doesn't make sense because you're talking about an instrument that's multiple trillions. I don't know what's the stock market value. 3 trillion, 5 trillion. I don't even know. But you're betting $100 billion stock versus a $5 trillion market cap. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The beta on that and basically the vol on that is not even anything to talk about. Crypto moves 10% average a day, and this moves less than 1. So anyway, we could talk to him about that. I'm excited to hear what he has to say. It's about 15 before the opening. Market has come in. It's only up 30. We ran stops at 70, so keep an eye on the 70 level. This is a really big opening. Again, I state that the cash is 6 above, so we're almost up 40 handles, and the implied on the S&P is 36 handles, and the implied on the Dow is about 370 points. So we'll wait. We'll come back to you guys after the opening, and hopefully there'll be some good trading today.
All right. Talk to everybody later.